stop scrolling now. What if you could change everything in just a few seconds? Come with me now. Over 35 successful masterclass conducted this year, engaged with 30 leading organizations to elevate HR excellence. Our innovative strategies have impacted around 3,000 HR professionals across industries. What sets us apart? Tailored, practical, and impactful training designed to empower your team with the tools to lead in HR innovation. Masterclasses led by industry experts, hands-on workshop designed for a real-world application, customized corporate trainings for your unique needs. Looking for the perfect space to host your next event? Our academy offers 10 versatile rooms available for rent, ideal for workshops, seminars, meetings, training sessions, or special events. Each room is fully equipped with modern amenities, flexible seating arrangement, and a professional environment to suit your needs. Conveniently located and competitively priced. Our spaces are designed to help you create a seamless, impactful experience. Join us as we empower HR professionals and transform workplaces. Are you ready to take your workplace to the next level? Join us now.
To take this opportunity to thank Malaysia HR Forum for organizing this AHRP program. I'm also very thankful for the chance to meet many wonderful like-minded people here throughout the program.
Okay, so I also remember about the advice from the CEO of Malaysia HR Forum, which is Mr. Kumar. He always says about AKS, attitude, knowledge and skill.
So first job, don't berkira-kira, work hard. The first 10 years of your working life, and what I've said the other day, the first 10 to 15 years of working life, it's all about hard work. So first job, grab what you can first, take it up, build your experience, build your competencies, learn the skills that you don't have today. The time will come when something will tell you that it is time to move on.
So you have to remember that having qualification doesn't really guarantee you a job, but it can land you with one. But for you to continue climbing the ladder, it's all about skills. And when we talk about skills, of course, not just soft skill, communication, writing, but relates to what you're doing.
What happened between that time until now? I never quit, never lie, and I never want to be somebody other than myself. So if you're a boring person, be boring. If you're an animated person, make sure that animation comes out. And if you're a person that is shy, so be it. The moment you lie, the moment you say you know things and you don't, that's when you won't get the job. At that rate, by the time you are 30, you're going to be having a salary of 7,000 ringgit. Congratulations. But 7,000 doesn't cut it in KL. Learn, continuously improve yourself. This AHRP paper is one of them. Continue to add stuff in your CV.
As a HR professional for many years, the AHRP program, the quality of candidate that we see today, they are well equipped with the confidence, the knowledge and skills of HR, what is it to be a HR person, and all of them coming from other background.
I'm very thankful for Malaysia HR Forum by giving us this opportunity to interview some candidates that they have trained in a 5 days program, and they also filtered the candidates based on their own requirements. And I would say that this is a fresh batch of candidates for us to interview, so it was good. And in a couple of days, we will shortlist some candidates and hopefully to organize a second interview with them.
When I first saw it, I thought it was a really good idea to bring candidates together with a specific specialization, which is why I wanted to participate, because I've got HR needs that I'm looking for. So it was a good platform for me to meet a good pool of candidates who have a certification that I can work with. Some of them are meeting expectations. As an organization, I'm looking more towards the ability to communicate, looking at critical thinking, character and motivation of the people. So I think for the most part, I've met good people today.
Overall, it's a good experience to participate this HR Recruitment Day. And I think it's a very meaningful event that helps the fresh graduates out there to have the employment opportunity. Overall, I find the session very fruitful, and we managed to get a few good candidates, and we are going to shortlist for the second interview with our company.
At AHRP, ladies and gentlemen, we are deeply honored to be invited as a strategic partner for this conference. This conference stands as a beacon of innovation and forward thinking, set against the backdrop of a rapidly evolving digital landscape that fundamentally alters how we work, interact, and grow. This systematic shift brought about by the COVID-19 pandemic really have underscored the indispensable role of HR in navigating these changes, making our gathering here today more critical than ever.
And we like number of people yang datang, the event.
It's a very wonderful job done. Even till now, we've been part of many events out in the West and in Europe as well.
Having all this knowledge under one roof over 2 days is really useful.
I think the organizer has been doing a great job so far. I think everything else is good. The traffic is great. Yeah, we did enjoy our time here at the event.
I actually quite salute, with how they organize the whole thing, starting from the registration, everything is quite organized, in sequence, in line. And of course, they provide even food for everyone.
A lot of familiar faces. So dia macam nak satu big reunion macam tu.
If it's on again next year, we will certainly be coming back.
The scene here in KL is outstanding, and we hope to join you guys again in the next event.
Okay. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're able to see me and you're able to hear me. If you are able to hear me, if you're able to see me, give me a yes. So at least I know everything is fine. All good? Good. Okay. So good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. So the webinar today will be for an hour and a half or so. And today we're going to touch on designing flexi work arrangement solutions, FWA. So my name is Arul. I'm coming from Malaysia HR Forum. Some of you all do know us. So stay tuned for the next 1.5 hours. And towards the end of this presentation, I'll be sharing a couple of links, couple of important links for you to take note of, for you to download some of the documents. So before I begin, my name is Arul. I'm sure many of you all do know us. If you are a member of HR Forum, I might know many of you all, and I'm sure many of you all do know us, do know me. So my name is Arul, and I've got about 23 years progressive HR experience in multiple industries, from manufacturing to glove, to technology, to consulting, to training, to education. Today, I'm attached to Malaysia HR Forum, and I'm enjoying what I'm doing now, which is to help build capacity among the HR folks in Malaysia. So that's why we have this webinar today. Before I begin, I would like to encourage all of you all, if you are not yet a member of our Malaysia HR Forum in Facebook, right? You can see a QR code in the screen. Scan the QR code and join us today. So when you become a member of the HR community in Facebook, I know some of you all may be in LinkedIn, but do join us in Facebook because we are much more active in Facebook. So when you join the community, Malaysia HR Forum community in our Facebook, you will make yourself available to tons of documents, HR policies, documentation, guidelines, FAQs, many other templates, free webinars like what you're seeing today, discussions, and many, many more, right? Do join us. And I would like to encourage any one of y'all, if you are a HOD, or you're a section head, or if you're a business owner, get your HR members, get your HR team to join the forum, right? I always, advise HR colleagues whenever I see them, we got to know what's happening out there, right? If we do not know what's happening out there, then we are like stuck in a cave. Do not know what's happening out there, what is new, what is the latest trend, what are the challenges, etc. So I would encourage all of you all to get your HR team members, your HR colleague, your subordinates to join the forum, right? So that's something free for you today. Now, let me go into the topic of flexi work. I'm sure all of you all know already by now the recent amendment, which was 2 years ago, so it's not so recent. So the Amendment to Employment Act, which was done in year 2022, which went live, enforced in 2023, there is one provision added, which is under Section 60P and another Section 60Q, which talks about flexi work arrangement. So this is a law now, right? It is no longer an option, it is a law. So let's look at Section 60P on flexi work arrangement. So what does it say? It says that an employee may apply to an employer. So now if all of you are listening in, if you are the business owner, if you are running the organization, or if you are running the HR department, now you are the employer. So what Section 60P says that an employee may apply to an employer for flexi work arrangement to vary. Vary means to modify, to revise the work hours, the days of work, the place of work. So that means your employee today, it doesn't matter whether they're operator, whether they are technician, whether they are clerical staff, whether they are executives, they could be managers, they could be local employees, they could be foreign employees, they could be foreign workers. So even your foreign worker, right, your Bangladesh worker, those from Nepal, those from India, Cambodia, Myanmar, etc., they may also apply, because Employment Act do not distinguish local employees, foreign employees, white collar, blue collar. everybody, whether you're a local employee, whether you're a foreign employee, whether you're an expatriate or you're the blue collar worker from, from Bangladesh or Nepal or Pakistan or Indonesia, whether you're a full-time staff, whether on your fixed-term contract, all of these people are defined as employee, right? So they can apply to vary, to modify the hours of work, place of work, days of work, right? It does not mean that they can, immediately start changing their days of work. No, they need to apply to you. That is what Section 60P says. Now, those of you all, if you have a union in your organization, so what it says, where there is a collective agreement, any application made by the employee, subsection 1, which is above, must be consistent with the terms and conditions in your collective agreement. So that is Section 60P. Section 60Q says that the application process, now, the employee, that means your employee, may apply, right? He may make an application, right? He writes to you under Section 60P in a form and manner, right? There is a format to apply, which may be determined by the Director General of Labour. Once the employee has applied to you, right? Once the employee has applied to you, within 60 days, the company must either approve it or you refuse it. In other words, you reject the application, right? So your role when an employee writes into you to modify the place of work, the hours of work, or the days of work, your role as an employer is to reply them within 60 days. You either approve it or you reject. If you approve, that's good news, everybody is happy. But if you reject the application, then what does Section 60Q 3, subsection 3 says that you must reply, you must inform the employee in writing why you refuse. So if you're going to refuse, you're going to reject the application, you must inform them in writing. Again, I repeat, you must inform them in writing. So this item in bold, shall inform the employee in writing, not verbal, right? In writing, whether you approve or if you deny them, if you reject theirs. And you must explain why you reject them. So you've got to give your reason for rejection. So it's not just suka-suka, oh sorry, tak boleh, cannot, etc. No. The law says that when they apply, you must either approve it or you must reject. If you're going to reject, you must provide this in writing. And this has got to be done within 60 days from the time the employee puts in his or her application, right? So that is Section 60P and Section 60Q. I'm sure many of you all do know this already, but by now, it's already 2 years, we started, this piece of law started 1st January 2023. So it is now 2023, 2024. We are now in the third year, right? 2025 is the third year. So I'm sure in the last 2 years, you would have done your research, you would have defined your policy, communicate to your stakeholders, communicate to your employee, put this into process, right? You establish a process. But if you have not done so, then my question to all of you all is this: what have we been doing for the last 2 years, right? It's a piece of law. So that's very much on Section 60P and Section 60Q. Now let me move on. So why do we need flexi work arrangement? These are some theoretical inputs. I'm not going to speak, I'm not going to touch every aspect of this, but I think all of you all would agree. Some of you all would be also, you would be on flexi work arrangement, and some of you all find that this is good. It gives you some form of, room to be able to contribute to the company while also addressing your personal needs. So according to this study, right, it says that there are 6 benefits of offering flexi work arrangement. Number 1 is increased productivity. Number 2, your employees are less stressful, right? Number 3, it decreases absenteeism. People are staying far away, if they have some family commitment, right? It allows them to carry on the work at home, for example, if it's going to be work from home. Your employees are much more happier, healthier. There are some cost savings, could be on rent. Your employees will save money, they don't have to travel. They can save on fuel, they can save on toll, if they're traveling via toll. And what is more important, which is what I always emphasize, is this also helps to create and enhance, increase the trust level in your organization, right? So these are some of the benefits, right? Now, I would like to ask you all this. Today, who is your biggest competitor? right? To all companies, who is your biggest competitor today? Are they the neighboring companies? Are they companies in the same industry as what you are in, right? If you are in oil and gas, another oil and gas company is your competitor. If you're in manufacturing, another manufacturing organization is your competitor. If you're in retail, right, another retail organization is a competitor. Who is your competitor today, right? Agreed, your neighboring organization or companies in the same industry, they are your competitor. They have been your competitor for the longest time. But you also have another new competitor that came into the market, for the last couple of years. Who is it? The gig economy. So the gig economy that, went quite active, I would say probably about 4 or 5 years ago, right? Prior to that, yes, but I think in the last 4 years, the gig opportunity has increased tremendously. Now, they are your competitor. So if you don't want to provide flexi work, your employee may tell you, look here, I rather not work for you because why? I can drive Grab, I can do other things, I can be an influencer, right? I can do, design, I can do some artwork while at home and sell my artwork to others. I can do social media, post social media support and so on. I can work from home, right? So they enjoy the flexi. Okay, just give me a minute. Yeah. Level, like for example, the junior white collars, they are your competitor today, the gig economy. So if you don't want to offer flexibility, they may tell you, you know what, keep your job, I'm going to move on. Okay, good. Right? So they are your biggest competitor today. So what do? Are we still going to play hardball with the employees? Every time they ask for flexi work, we're going to say no, cannot, tak boleh, cannot. Now, if we behave in such manner, they're going to tell you, look here, you keep your job, I got another job elsewhere. So this is the challenge that organizations face today. Some of you may not realize it, right? So do take note, when you offer flexibility to your employees, that creates some value to your employees. Now, there's a report by Hayes in Malaysia. So Hayes salary report says that a majority of Malaysian employees, or roughly about 71.6%, they want flexible arrangement, right? So the biggest percentage or the bigger reason of what people want today, it is flexi work arrangement. I'm sure many of you all, if you're in HR, right, you have a laptop, I'm sure sometimes you work from home. Why others cannot work from home? Right? Why the technicians cannot have flexi arrangement? Now, when we say flexi arrangement, it is not only about work from home, because it can be about the place of work, right? If you're a technician, if you're an operator, if you're a supervisor, you got to be on site. If you're a retail outlet, you got to be on site. If you're working in a hotel, you got to be on site, right? So certain jobs, yes, you cannot go elsewhere. You got to be on site. But what about the days of work? What about the hours of work? So to me, for operator, for example, operator, your F&B retail, you can't provide a change of place. Fine. What about days of work? What about hours of work? Right? So these are some form of flexibility that people would want. Now, I would like to throw again this to all of you. If your industry, your organization, you employ blue-collar workers, or you employ the junior white-collar. So the blue-collar are typically operators, technicians, the F&B retail outlets, or if in your hotel, those housekeeping, people who are paid 2,000-3,000 ringgit, right? 2,000-3,000 ringgit. Even fresh graduate today, I think many organizations pay between, let's say, 2,500, 2,800, 3,000. Now, people earning this much, let's say from 1,700 to 3,000, slightly above 3,000, they need to work 8 to 9 hours a day, 5 days a week, if they are operators, technicians, some of the F&B retail outlets, they work, 10 to 12 hours per day for 5 to 6 days a week just to earn a mere 2,000 plus, maybe 3,000 ringgit. Now, if I were to put the same amount of hours, that means, I work 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, but I do Grab Food, I do Food Panda. How much would I earn? In Klang Valley, people could earn anywhere between, let's say, 4,000 to 5 to 6,000 ringgit. So why should I work for you for a mere 3,000 ringgit? I'd rather do something else. And when I do, Grab Food or Food Panda or whatever those other things, I am my boss, I'm the boss, I have flexibility, right? So that is why when we cannot hire those blue-collar employees, it is not that the people are not there. It is just that they are not looking to work for you as an operator, as a technician, or as a, F&B retail outlet. Because why? Everybody wants, I'm sure all of y'all, I'm sure each and every one of y'all listening in today, you would want flexibility. If you want flexibility, if you think you deserve flexibility, why don't you think the others cannot deserve the same, right? So that's a question for you to take note of. Now, a couple of times, people ask, can the boss not call you? Why must the bosses call you after, after work? Why must the boss call you on weekend? So in Malaysia, we don't have any law that says the boss cannot call you. But in Australia, right, there is something called there's a law called right to disconnect. This is in Australia, not Malaysia. So right to disconnect means outside of work hours, the boss cannot call you, cannot send you WhatsApp, cannot send you email, right? This is in Australia. But in Malaysia, we don't have such a law. So in Australia, there's a law called right to disconnect. Because sometimes the employees feel, a little bit disturbed when the boss call you. I'm sure many of you all would agree. Do your boss call you after 5, right? Or do the boss call you on weekend? Now, let me give you a small, scenario. So I have an employee by the name of Fahmi, right? And, today is Tuesday. So I've asked Fahmi to prepare a report, which I need to send to a client on Monday. So let's assume today is Tuesday, right? So Fahmi, we need to send a report to our client. Can you get the report done? So make sure, all the items that we need to have in a report, you have put it in. So when can you send to me, Fahmi? So Fahmi tells me, boss, I'll send you on Thursday. By Thursday, I'll send it to you. I say, okay, Fahmi, make sure whatever that the client wants is in the report. So Fahmi said, yes, sir. Yes, boss. Yes, sir. Okay, good. So what happens is I'm on business trip, right? I was busy traveling. And on Saturday, when I got back home, I decided, okay, let me go through the report. Let me tidy up the report and let me send it to the client. Because I have promised the client on Monday morning, the report will be in his email. So what happened on Saturday when I opened up the PC, I download all my emails. I was looking for Fahmi's email and I cannot find the email. And I get a little bit disturbed because the email is not there. So what do? I may have to call Fahmi. I'm going to say, Fahmi, where is the report? And Fahmi was busy with his family outing, etc. He's going to say, boss, I forgot to send it to you. Can I send to you today afternoon? So I say, okay, please send to me today afternoon. And Fahmi puts down the phone and then he tells his family members, he tells his, whoever is with him, ayah, my boss, Saturday pun mau kacau saya. But did I disturb him? Yes, I did. But why did I call him? Because Fahmi failed to complete the report as what he promised. So when your employees ask, tell you this, I want work-life balance. So what exactly is work-life balance? Work-life balance, in my definition, and I'm sure some of you will agree, it is not about coming to work on time and going back on time. Work-life balance, in my definition, means you come to work on time, you go back on time, you complete whatever task given to you as promised on time with the quality of work that is expected. That's it. So if all your employees and all of y'all, if you keep telling me that your boss, keep calling you, disturbing you, why is the boss calling you? Why did you give the boss the opportunity to call you? So work-life balance, in my opinion, or in my definition, is come to on time, go back on time, work hard, work with high discipline, complete your work with the right quality, as what is required, and do not give your boss the opportunity to call you during your weekend or after work, right? That is work-life balance. So you got to educate your employees. What exactly is work-life balance? What is the point of someone saying this? I come to work on time, I go back on time. What's the point? Did you complete the task as per required, or as per the quality required? Or you just come, relax, work, go back at 6. That's, we don't need that, right? So you got to educate employees. So anyway, unfortunately, the right to disconnect law is not in Malaysia, but in Australia. Now, our Malaysian laws before the amendment was 48 hours. Today, it is 45 hours, effective 1st January. But just to let you all know, ILO's work hour reduction recommendation, 1962, it is 40 hours, 40. So even though our law says now 45, but some of the international practices is 40. There could be a time, one fine day, Malaysia may embrace lesser work hours. So what is organizations going to do? Today, from when the government reduced the work hours from 48 to 45, a lot of companies got a little bit disturbed. Overtime is going to increase, etc. So take this opportunity to improve your processes, improve efficiency, right? Improve competency. Now, what I could do a particular task in 1 hour, you might take 3 hours. Why can I, how is it I can do 1 hour, but someone takes 3 hours? Competency, efficiency, discipline, right? All this is important. So let's not worry about how long people need to work, but how do people work, right? It is not the what, but the how. So let me just move into the topic of FWA. So there are many models of FWA. So what are the models? I will come to you in a short while. Now, the benefits of implementing FWA, I've mentioned just now, it helps to reduce travel time. It also helps to push technology adoption. It can reduce your rental overhead. It could be rental, travel costs and whatnot, etc. It can also help to improve work-life balance. Now, those of you all in KL, in PJ, right, in Penang, sometimes the employees travel 1 hour one way, 1 hour to work. So in a total travel time in a day in Klang Valley could be 2 hours or even more, right? So that is quite stressful. So having this flexi work, sometimes they can work at home or work from the office, etc., help to improve work-life balance, right? It also helps to improve employee retention. So let me give you another scenario. Two organizations, they pay almost on par, right? Work is almost on par, benefit almost the same. But one organization has flexi work arrangement, the other organization no. So naturally, what would the employee do? I would rather go here, right? So sometimes we might lose some of our key performing employees if we play hardball with employees. But of course, on the other hand, there are also concerns and challenges. So I'm sure your bosses, some of your bosses may say that, no, this work from flexi work cannot, tak boleh, right? Because, we cannot run a business. True, that's true. When we embrace work from home, for example, or you have got flexi work, flexi hours, people come in different timing. Some come in early, go back early. Some come in late, go back late. This cuts off the interaction between employees. Or if they're working from home for an extended period of time, it can have effect on employee engagement, motivation. There could be a loss of productivity and efficiency. Work performance may drop. Team spirit may be affected. The speed to implement things, right? The speed to get certain discussion done may also take some time, right? So these are some of the concerns that companies do have. So the question to all of you all is, how can we overcome these concerns and challenges? What can we do, right? That's something for you to think about. So there are various types of flexi work arrangement, right? So we need to know what are those. What are the types of flexi work arrangement that applies to us? What EA says an employee may vary, can modify place of work, hours of work, days of work, right? So when it comes to place, you can be either at home or in office. That's place. The days of work, instead of Monday to Friday, could be Thursday to Sunday or whatever, right? If it works in your industry. Hours, right? Instead of coming in, let's say 9 and going back at 6, you come in at 8, you go back at 5, you come in at 10, you go back at 7. So that's some form of flexi work. So what applies, what is practical, that is something that for you to think about. So when we implement flexi work, we must consider certain factors, right? The work hour limitation, because you only have 40 hours per week, right? If you're working on 9 to 5 or 8 to 6, 9 to 6 or 8 to 5, there are work hour limitation. Can an employee get the job done when he's, at home? The type of work, we agree that not all job can be done at a different location, right? So the type of work is another factor to look at. The practicality of FWA, right? What is the effect on other employees? Because sometimes some tasks, it is not to be done alone. Partly is done by you, partly is done by someone else. So if you delay, their job gets delayed. If they delay, your job gets delayed, right? So sometimes working remotely may have some effect on the process, on the other employees and the team. What about employees' current performance? Can I give work from home for a poor performer? Or can I allow an employee who has disciplinary issue to come in on a flexi work or flexi hours or work from home, right? What happens if there's an emergency? What happens if I need an employee to travel on very short notice to a client's place if he's on work from home? I'll share with you one example later, right? So these are some factors to take note when you design FWA, right? Sometimes I know, I've heard about this, I've heard this many, many times. People think that FWA senang saja, no, you got to consider all these factors. You got to analyze these factors. You got to assess these factors. So it's not just, put a few simple policy, copy, cut, paste, go to ChatGPT, draft me a policy, FWA, okay, just nice, you copy, paste and done. No, you got to analyze, right? Take these factors into consideration. What you don't want to happen is, we take a shortcut, an easy approach, get it implemented, and then issues crop up. And then what you need to do, now you got to resolve the issue. So do not take, this, don't take this approach of, trying to cure what has happened. Always prevent it, right? So when you design, you got to spend, good amount of time to go through various factors, talk to your stakeholders, look into your process flow, look into your process design, and so on and so forth, right? So these are some factors. So what are the types of flexi work that is out there? We have got hybrid work. You can work from home, you can work from office or other locations. Work from home, it can be full-time, can be part-time. Flexi work, you come in at 8, go back at 5, come in at 9, go back at 6. Condensed work or compressed work week. Today, I think most of you all, you work 8 hours per day for 5 days. What if your employee says that, boss, I can complete my 40 hours, but in 4 days. Every day I work 10 hours. Can or cannot? Boleh ke tak boleh? Right? That is compressed work week. Today we work, even though we are in office for 9 hours, we minus lunch 1 hour, is 8 hours. So 8 times 5 is 40. An employee may come to you saying that, can I work 40 hours, Mondays to Thursdays, 4 days. 4 days times 10 is 40 hours. That is called compressed work week. Or part-time work. So instead of full-time hours, I want to do part-time. That means I only work 3 days a week. But of course, when you work 3 days a week, I don't think it's fair to ask for full salary of someone who works 5 days a week. But part-time work is another option for you. And of course, there are many others, remote work, job sharing, right? One person's job, you split it and ask 2 persons to do, staggered hours. You can also phase out retirement and a few others. So today's presentation, I will touch on item number 1 until number 5, right? So these are the common ones. So hybrid work, meaning that they work from home and office, right? They interchange. Some days I'm here, some days I'm, at home. So hybrid work is a combination of work from home or work in office. Now, hybrid work could be available for all positions or roles that you have identified, right? Can an operator or a technician or a F&B retail outlet, or if you're in retail sector, or if you're in a cafe, you cannot be doing this job from anywhere else. You got to be on site, right? So you got to identify what are the jobs that need to be done on site, what can be done at home, and what are the positions. So you got to decide that. So all this arrangement, right? Not just flexi work or flexi hours or place of work or compressed work week. Now all of this can be, done on an ad hoc basis. When there's a need, you grant it to your employees. If they apply, grant it to them. It can be, for a continual basis for a period of time. That means for some time. Could be 1 month arrangement, 2-month arrangement, or it can be on a permanent basis. But I'm cautioning all of y'all, be careful if there's a request to go on a permanent arrangement, because once you grant it, it is going to be difficult to pull it back, right? So be cautious, right? I will share with you how to manage this. The other one is work from home. That means, it's either full-time work from home or partially work from home. Again, this could be done on an ad hoc basis. When there's a case-to-case, okay, today kid is not feeling well, you want to work from home, okay, today you work from home, or for the next 1 week. Or it can be for a period of time, or it can be a permanent basis. But remember, permanent basis, you got to be cautious. Flexi work. So flexi work, right, these are some examples of how some companies have done it. Flexi work means you come in earlier, you go back earlier. That means the hours are very flexible in the day. You still come to work. You still work full hours. If your company says, every day we work 8 hours, of course, lunch is separate, 8 hours, you still work 8 hours. But the time in, time out differs. So for example, option 1 could be 7:30 to 4:30 if it's an office environment, 8 to 5, 8:30 to 5:30, right? Or 9 to 6, or 9:30 to 6:30. So this is a form of flexi work. My advice to organizations is this: don't overdo it. Don't be too ambitious. Want to show the market that, my company has got so much of flexibility. Always define the parameter. Make sure you're able to manage it well. So that's flexi work, right? So you come in at 9, let's say your standard work hours is 9 to 6, right? They come in between the hours of 7:30 and 9:30, for example. So that means between 7:30 and 9:30, within this 2-hour window, you must come in within this 2-hour window. You can come in at 7:30, 8, 8:30, 9, 9:30, etc. And, you go home between 4:30 to 6:30. So if you come in at 7:30, you go back 4:30. You come in at 9:30, you go back at 6:30, right? You define this window. And then lunch is anytime, is 1 hour, right? 1 hour lunch between 12 to 2. So within 12 to 2, this window, you go for your 1 hour lunch. Lunch is not 2 hours, it is 1 hour between 12 to 2. So the 9:30 in the morning, right, from 9:30 to 12 o'clock, this is what we define as the morning core hours. And then from 2 o'clock to 4:30 is the afternoon core hours. So in these core hours, between 9:30 to 12, and 2 to 4:30, you can have your team discussion, you can have meetings, you can arrange whatever calls you want. Because, in the green phase and the red phase, people may be in and out, right? So this is your core hours. And even for shift work, right? Today's environment, when it comes to shift work, how do we, retain the blue-collar workers? It's easy to get them. Yeah, when you recruit, you may recruit 20, 30, but people don't stay. They come and go. Now, I would say this to all of y'all. The days of treating the blue-collar workers like slaves, right? I'm not saying that you literally treat them like slaves, but you make them work 6 hours a day, 12 o'clock, morning shift, night shift, etc. Those days are slowly disappearing away. Would you like to work 6 hours a day? 6 days per week? You don't like, but you expect the blue collar to work. Would you like to work 12 hours per day? You can't, but we want the blue collar workers to work 12 hours a day. So everybody, they are human beings, we are human beings. Everybody wants some form of flexibility, work-life balance. Nobody wants to work long hours, right? So the days of asking people to work long hours is slowly going away. So if the company is not able to recruit blue-collar workers, right, or some of the shift workers, whether they're executive or non-executive, to work long hours, those days are slowly disappearing away. So if you keep, if companies are grumbling, I'm not able to recruit, I'm not able to retain, that's your fault. So what do? Look into alternative work arrangement. So I have always been suggesting to companies, even your operators, even those people in the shop floor or your retail outlet or your F&B, your cafes or wherever, this 6 days, try not to do that anymore, right? 5 days work, 2 days off. But I love the 2-shift 3-crew model. You work 4 days, you rest 2 days. You work 4 days, you rest 2 days. You work 4 days, you rest 2 days. Now, the productivity is much more higher. You're able to recruit people, you're able to retain them, right? So do consider some change to the way you have done your work hour arrangement. So for me, This is one form of flexi work, right? So now if you would ask your employees, ask your operators, ask your technicians, ask your blue collar employees, would you want to work 6 days per week or 5 days per week? Do you want to work 5 days per week or 4 days per week? Right? I'm quite sure a majority of them, if not everyone, a high majority of them would tell you this: I would like to work lesser days per week, right? So if you can give this to them, I'm quite sure you're able to recruit people and your retention rate will be much higher than what you have today. Now, does this mean that by doing so, we're going to spend more money? Yes or no? Yes, on paper, it may be seen that you're spending more money, right? Oh, now I have to hire a little bit more. You know, if you're going to go from, you know, whatever shift you have, you know, to a new shift or new work hours, I need to recruit maybe 5 more employees. But I can tell you this cost is lower than the cost of lost productivity. The cost of productivity, the cost of efficiency, lost opportunity costs, these three are much higher than paying additional employees, right? Do your mathematics. The next one is condensed work or compressed work week. So as I've mentioned earlier on, in a week, if an employee works 40 hours, right? Like most of you all, 8 hours per day, 5 days a week. Some employees may tell you this: I can get my job done in 10 hours. So can I work only 4 days? He still get a job done, right? That's called compressed work week. Now, there are organizations doing it. You can also consider, right? And try it out. But, you know, try on pilot first. If you're going to try any of this, right, always go on a pilot approach. And please ensure that your payroll system, right, if your payroll is tied to time in, time out, please ensure your payroll system is able to capture this. Otherwise, your payroll, whoever's managing payroll, you know, will be throwing some dirty words on, you know, at you because you've made their life much more harder. So when you do this, please ensure that your payroll system is able to manage, you know, this kind of timing. Part-time work. Now, there is a regulations which is called part-time employee regulations. And it says that any employee who works between 30% to 70% of a full-time role, the full-time hours, they are part-time. So if your company's work hours is 45, so anyone who works, you know, more than 13 hours, but less than 31 hours, they are part-time employee. So there's a regulation. So go to the, I mean, if you're already a member of the Facebook community, Malaysia HR Forum, go to our community page group. There is a table to compare the various benefits. What is the difference between casual employees who are not defined as employees? So casual, part-time, full-time. How many days of annual leave for each of these category? Casual workers are not employees. So for part-time employees, what does the law says about annual leave, sick leave, hospitalization leave, maternity leave? What is the OT rates like? The full-time and part-time, right? So look at it. So part-time work could be also another scenario. Now, in what aspect or in what kind of cases part-time work could be an approach? You have an employee who is not able to come all the 5 days because of some family commitment. So the employee says, boss, can I work from home? But his work or her work cannot be done while at home, has got to be done on site. So what you should do is look into the job description, because I believe they are also doing certain tasks that can be done by someone else. So if this employee is, you know, is managing a very crucial task and can only be done by him or her, what you can do is take away the task that can be done by others, you assign it to someone else. Now his or her workload, instead of from 100%, it may reduce to 60%. Now you can tell the employee, okay, we can reorganize your work on a part-time basis. You only need to come 3 days a week, because the other 2 days someone else can do it, right? You reorganize it. So convert them to part-time. But of course, it has got to be on mutual basis. You cannot force it on them, make them apply, negotiate the terms, and then move on, right? That's part-time work. So this is one form of part-time work. I'm just giving you some samples. You know, it can be permanently half day every day, right? Because you want them for some crucial task. Now, I'm sure you would agree, everybody, every one of us, there are some tasks that can only be done by that person. But some tasks you can engage a freelancer, part-timer, maybe a junior employee, a clerk, you can pass it on to them. So you minimize what they need to do, and then you arrange their work days. So it can be on first half permanently, it can be on second half, or it can be the first 3 days or the last 3 days, whatever. So this is one form of part-time work arrangement. Now, what are the tips to implement flexi work? So this is very important. Some of, as I speak to a lot of organizations, I realize many organizations that I've spoken to, they have haphazardly, right? I repeat again, they have haphazardly implemented their flexi work arrangement policy. Why? Because they fail to take into account, certain factors, certain things. Like I said, sometimes we don't know what we don't know. So we got to network, we got to learn, right? Attend webinars like this, attend some seminars, because we get to learn what other people have gone through. So if they have made such a mistake, you can learn and avoid this mistake, right? So my advice to all of you all listening in today, we run, lots of webinars and seminars. Please attend this seminar. Please attend these webinars. Why? It is better to learn and avoid an issue rather than, a blind follower. Just implement. We heard somebody is doing it, we just implement it, and later part, there's an issue. To rectify issue is much more harder, right? Prevention or cure, which is cheaper, which is faster? Prevention is always faster and cheaper. But when you want to cure an issue, it takes more time, it is expensive, right? So, number one, remind employees FWA is not an entitlement. Yes, the law is provided for them, but have your terms and conditions. Number two, right, what are the type of FWA, that can be done on a need basis? Define that as well. Publish your FWA policy. You must have a policy. We cannot run, a business cannot run based on, some undocumented, right, unwritten arrangement. Tomorrow somebody says, can, go ahead. You cannot run a business like that, right? Have a documented policy, have a process to apply. You do not want in an organization, one manager very flexible, everything can. Another manager is firm. Then, the other employee will say that this company, they discriminate. Other people can, but my team cannot. You do not want that. So document your policy. Set your boundary guidelines. Now, why I'm saying set your boundary guidelines is, if you're going to have flexi work, flexi day, etc., you do not want an employee to come and apply, with his own version of flexi work. And, end of the day, HR, if you're going to administer this process, you would be doing a PhD research. Every time an employee comes, you'll be studying whether this thing cannot. You're going to call the supervisor, how this, that. Do not do that. You analyze together with your stakeholders, with the HODs, with your management, what are the types of flexi work? What are the boundary guidelines? Once you have set your boundary guidelines, document it, tell your employees, you can apply for flexi work within these guidelines, within these hours, within these options. Like, remember just like I said, work from home. Flexi work. You can come in 7:30 to 4:30, 8 o'clock to 5:30. Now, you got to define this. You do not want tomorrow, you just tell employee, okay, flexi work can, no problem. One guy will come and write to you saying that, can I come to work at 12 o'clock afternoon, go back at 8 o'clock night or 9 o'clock? It doesn't work, right? So set your boundary guidelines. Number 5 is set an expiry date. So remember I said just now, this permanent arrangement. Do you know that there are organizations out there in Malaysia, when times are good, okay, can, work from home, can. How many months? 1 year, go. When times, when business is bad, hey, can you come back? But boss, you already promised me 1 year. I'm in Sabah right now. How? I committed to my family, I'll be here. So try to avoid giving long-term approval, right? Even if there's a need, even if there's a genuine need, tell the employee, we cannot give you 1 year. Every 2 months, you got to reapply, right? So go on a block basis. 2 months, if it's okay, apply. Now, what has happened, and this is a real case, a company out there in Malaysia gave this particular employee a blanket work from home. That means no limit. After 1-2 months, the performance dropped. This employee is not so responsive. So how now? There is no policy. There is no condition set. Nothing. So then they called me up. Arul, I got this problem. What can I do? What can you do? You have given blanket approval. So, cautionary advice, if an employee wants to apply for long-term flexi work or work from home, flexi work is not so bad because they're still coming to work every day, but work from home. Even if they need it for a long term, give on a block basis, 2 months, 2 months, 2 months, or 1 month, 1 month, 1 month, right? You decide. Make clear terms, for example, conditions such as business trip. Now, what has happened? Just imagine you have got an employee who says that, boss, can I work from home? Okay, I think your job is okay, you got laptop, everything is automated, yeah, go. Now, his family is in Sabah and he decided to go to Sabah. Suddenly, one of your clients says that, hey, can you send your rep? Because you know what, I need your rep here to come and check on the machine you supplied. So now you're going to call, let's say, Fahmi, and Fahmi says, boss, I'm in Sabah, how? Can you pay my flight ticket or not? Right? So you got to make your terms clear. So in the policy that you're going to design, you must state where is the point of origin, for any customer visit during work from home. So the point of point of exit or point of departure should be your office. So from the office to the client's place, I will pay. From Sabah, you come back at your cost. So all this must be documented. When an employee applies for flexi work, he must also agree to all the conditions that you've set. Then you grant him approval. Tomorrow, if he refuses, then you can take disciplinary action on him. If you were to file a case against you for unfair dismissal, you can say that this is the company's policy. We have already defined the policy. He agreed to the conditions. We granted him. But after agreeing, he refused. Right? So set your conditions. And establish in your policy, you must also have this thing called recall to office. So if there's an emergency, the company have the right to cancel the FWA and return back immediately to office, right? Or cancel the flexi arrangement, cancel the compressed work week, whatever. So make this condition clear. So when an employee applies, right, all these conditions are spelled out. So do you agree to all the conditions above? Yes. That means he's agreed, right? I'm sure many of you all have not thought of this. Recall back to office. I've mentioned just now, avoid approving on long-term basis, go on a block basis, and define what is the superior's responsibility during work from home arrangement, right? During flexi arrangement. What is the employee's responsibility? And define the consequences if either in this case is the employee, when the employee failed to adhere to the policy, right? And last but not least, always have in writing, right? Always put in the application. They need to apply. It's not just verbal, right? Most next 1 week work from Ken. Okay, can go. Where's your evidence? Where's your black and white? Who approved it? How long? Right? So just imagine this. Let me give you one scenario. Today, I am the superior for Fahmi. I'm very nice to him. He's nice to me, etc. So Fahmi says, boss, can I work from home? Can. How long? 6 months, boss, because I got some, I need to be at home, etc. Okay, 6 months, go. So after 2 months, I resign. And now a new boss is in. Fahmi may claim that, my ex-boss approved 1 year, 2 years. So now it's black and white. So how do you manage this? Right? So there was an industrial court case long time ago. There was a doctor in a private hospital who don't have a return policy on retirement age. And he says that once upon a time, somebody promised me. So this verbal promise can be taken as a promise. So always have it in writing. You may think that, what for all this process? Let's make it easy. Leceh lah, want to have writing. But tomorrow when there's an issue, how are you going to manage it? Right? So that's important. Even the law says, Section 60Q says what? An employee shall apply in writing. Now, should this be a qualifying criteria? Disciplinary issues and performance issues. If an employee has a disciplinary issue, final warning was given, and he applies for flexi work, are you going to grant it to him? Or if the employee is a poor performer during PIP, he's going through PIP right now, or he's a C performer, and he says that, can I work from home? What does your policy says? So document this. My advice, disciplinary policy, if the employee is disciplinary issue, valid for the last 12 months and a performance issue, let's say it's on PIP, you can forget about work from home. I will document in the policy. Employees who are having disciplinary issues, active issues, and is having poor performance, PIP, they do not qualify for flexi work, right? The law is silent. You define it and argue your case. So this is a simple way to assess whether flexi work arrangement is possible or not. So this is a possibility. This is what you do the first, when you have a list of jobs, right? This is what you do. So I, list down all your scopes, all the positions that you have. Like for example, in this case, a manufacturing outfit could have an operator, technician, clerk, security guard, engineer, and so on. So which job you can change your place of work or the hours of work or days of work. Now, in my opinion, every position can enjoy some form of flexi work arrangement. Operator, maybe the place cannot. Even the hours cannot, because if you're on a 24, if you're on a rotational shift, you can't. But the days of work, you might be able to, right? A clerk, if they have a PC, right, and everything's, everything can be done online, etc., even a clerk can work from home, right? Security guard, you got to be on site. The hours also may be able to modify, maybe cannot, but I'm sure the days can. Or maybe days cannot, hours can, right? Engineer, maybe all can. So you got to define this, right? Publicize it. Now, once you're defined, for example, a clerk, all can. So what is the possibility for them? Flexi work, or you want to change your shift, right? Or, move them to part-time work or whatever. So do your assessment and then decide what type of FWA is applicable for them. So remember this, always define the boundary guidelines. And so I've mentioned this earlier on, disciplinary and performance. If an employee has any of this, do they qualify for FWA? What does your policy says, right? So define your policy, communicate to employees, and enforce it. So the conditions for FWA. For example, I'm just giving some ideas. How do you set conditions of FWA? Number one, they must have satisfactory attendance record in the last 12 months. If they've been absent, there's a disciplinary issue. So if you're absent to work, you got disciplinary issue, there's a warning letter issued. How do you qualify, right? The performance must also meet. If in the office cannot perform, while working in the office, performance is C or D. D is poor performer. C are people who, they did not meet your expected minimum, but they do a bit, but not full. So why should you give them? Kalau dekat office performance C, dekat rumah macam mana? Right? So for me, I will only grant, if I'm going to implement this, only for A performer and B performer. C and D, sorry, no talk. Right? If you're A performer or B performer, yes, you can perform. Right? But C and D, maybe no. So my advice to all of you all is this. How do you encourage performance? How do you push for performance? If you give flexi work to everybody, irrespective of the performance level, even the poor performer also enjoys it, then how do we appreciate the high performance? So what I would do to indirectly push people to perform, if you're a performer, B performer, you can apply for flexi work. If you're a poor performer undergoing PIP, forget about it. So this also can help to motivate people to perform, right? No discipline records in the last 12 months. So think about it. Then, of course, you can have your application process. What is the deadline? Cannot be tomorrow I want to go, today apply, right? Annual leave, your policy would say you must apply annual leave 3 days ahead, 4 days ahead, 7 days ahead. So I'm sure you got to apply the same for flexi work arrangement. If somebody wants to apply, when is the deadline? 1 week before application, 2 weeks before application? So you please decide. What is the application procedure? And what is the approval flow? Now, pay attention to this. Who, and I would like to hear some inputs, right? Text your answers. Who should be the one to approve flexi work arrangement? Who? Is it HR or the superior? Right? Let me know. Just let me know who answers. Yep. Who should approve flexi work? I want to hear some inputs. Should it be the superior or should it be HR? HOD. Anyone else? HR. Now, for me, it cannot be HOD, right? Why? Because if HOD approves it, right, your flow would say you apply to HOD, HOD approves, and then it comes to HR for documentation. What if the mode of flexi work that the employee apply does not, is not able to be managed by your payroll tool? He asked for some funny arrangement. The boss say can. When reaches HR, hey, like this, payroll system cannot. So my advice in the form that I'm going to share shortly, the superior's role, okay, or shall I say, firstly, you got to analyze FWA, define the parameters, get input from all your stakeholders, your HODs, your management, etc. Define it, fine-tune it, publish it. Employee apply. The superior, in my view, is to support or not support based on the boundary guideline that is already predefined. You got to train your managers. What kind of FW you should support, what you should not support. Now, sometimes the superior may not know the guy is not a performer. If a new boss takes over the job, right? Was it Uni Krishnan just now? Yeah. Okay, Umar Krishnan say HOD. Let's say Umar Krishnan is the boss, right? Now, he's new. He just joined last week. And then an employee says, boss, can I apply leave? He said, yeah, okay, go. Now, when reaches HR, hey, this guy got performance issue. Can HR now reverse the decision? It's going to be difficult. So, the right process, in my view, the HOD, his role is to either support the application or do not support. Finally, reach HR. HR reads through. Everything's okay. Application within the boundary guideline. No performance issue, no disciplinary issue. Approve it. So, HOD to support, HR to approve. Because once HOD approve, HR cannot change it anymore. And tomorrow if your MD find out, he says, how come? Pull back. Your employee will say it's unfair. So, the right flow, employee apply within the boundary that you have set, superior approve, superior support or don't support. Finally, HR, everything's okay, approve. Right? And I also do not like, if you are reporting to me today and you create unnecessary paperwork, run here, run there, etc., I tell you, I will be, I will tell you this is not the right way to work. Download the application form that I'm going to share in a while. When it reaches HR, your job is to approve it, sign it, photostate one copy of the form and give it to them. This is your acknowledgement. If you reject, remember this. What does section 60Q says? And the company must approve the FWA within 60 days. You must, if you're going to reject or approve, if you're going to reject, within 60 days, you must inform the employee in writing why you rejected it. So why a proper flow is important. The superior, he may not support. Let's say now, Fahmi applied. He got performance issue. Superior says, I don't support. Performance issue, etc. Reaches HR. So I see the boss did not support. Performance issue, I also reject. Now, remember the law says you must inform them in writing. So you reject, you put in your comments, sign, photostate one copy, Fahmi, here's your copy. Right? And one copy, you go to personal file. So this is more efficient than you checking this, issuing another letter, dear so and so. Don't create unnecessary letters, right? Be efficient. So the recommendation is the manager, the superior, to either support or reject, to support or not to support, HR to approve or to reject, right? The reason, if the superior is going to choose not supporting it, ask him to write the reason. So please have a look at the form, a very comprehensive form that we have shared in the forum, right? So other condition is, you can also do a trial period. For example, an employee may say, boss, I want to apply 1 year. Why? Because my family at home, they are not feeling well. I got to be there. My father is very ill, etc. Okay, we'll give you 1 month trial first. If 1 month okay, after that I give you 2 months. 2 months okay, after that I give you 4 months. 4 months okay, after that I give you 6 months. Right? So set this as a condition, because if you give a blanket approval, today it's a chop sign, okay, you go, after 1 month, performance not so good, how are you going to manage this? He's going to tell you, you know what, I've already brought my father back to Sabah, because there's one good doctor there. I brought him back to Sabah. Now, if I'm going to come back, I got to bring my father back, etc. All this not possible. So set your conditions right from the beginning. Okay, and so spell out the employees' responsibilities while they're on, work from home, and so on and so forth. What about if there's, accidents at home? Does SOCSO cover? What about health and safety issues, right? So define all this. Whose responsibility is it when something happens if you're working from home, right? And for business travel, where is the point of travel? If you want them to, the guy is working from home, but now a client is, your customer is calling, saying that, please send your rep. So the point of travel is from where? Who's going to bear the cost? So all this has got to be defined, right? So this is a sample policy, right, that we have defined. We have shared it in the forum. We'll send you the link how to download this. So in your FWA policy, you got to define the applicable, what is the criteria, the applicability? What are the types of, work from home? Define the parameter. You can see down there, the core hours, the flexi hours, define it there. So when they apply for flexi hours, they can either choose option 1, option 2, option 3, option 4, option 5. You can choose a limited option, 2 options only. That's up to the company, right? Or if it's compressed work week, what is the hours like? If it's part-time arrangement, what kind of block are they going to apply? How do you make an application? What are the other conditions? How do we manage work performance? What are the employees' obligations? What are the superiors' obligation? What about facilities at work? If you're going to work from home, who pays for the internet? You pay, company pay, define it. When there's a business travel, what happens if there's going to be, employee, goes through a mishap while at home, right? Recall back to office. What are the other conditions? So all this has got to be spelled out in your policy. If your policy don't have, covered this much, if it's just a brief, half a page, etc., I think your policy is inadequate. Tomorrow when there's an issue, when there's a labor dispute, your brief policy is not going to be helpful, right? Define it. So this policy is available. You can, have a look at this policy, revise it, modify it, to your needs, and go ahead and establish it, right? What about a form? So this is a sample FWA form that, we have shared in the forum. You can use this, modify it, etc. So employee details, emergency, what is the type of flexi work is he applying for? Hybrid work, compressed work week, work from home part-time, what is it, right? See the boxes there? So they define the parameter based on your parameter, right? What is the work schedule required? And if you look at the bottom, to be filled by the applicant, a self-declaration. I do not have any discipline record in the last 12 months, because the policy says you got discipline record, you don't qualify. I don't have it. So when you put there, alamak, I don't think I can apply because it's there. Or I have met the performance criteria for the last 12 months, right? And you see the last box, I agree to meet and comply with the conditions stipulated in the flexi work arrangement policy, right? As well as any other conditions imposed, right? He signs, and then he goes to the superior, tick, support or don't support. If he don't support, he must give a reason. Remember, Section 60Q of Employment Act says, the company, if you're going to reject, you must inform the employee in writing why you rejected and what is the reason for rejection. So the reason is there. So HR, you got to decide a flow that makes your life easy. Superior says cannot. Then employee come to you, hey boss, HR, the boss say cannot. What are you going to do? Mr. Lima, hey, why you say cannot? Because I must, the law says I must give. Don't do all this. In your policy, in your flow, tell the manager, if you do not want to support, write the reason. The form comes to HR, you read through everything, all okay, you approve or you reject, and then you put your reason. Then one copy of this form you give to employee, and one copy goes into personal file. That's it, right? And a small checklist, what are the items that must be there before I can approve it. So this makes the process to manage easy and smooth. Now remember, any employee can apply it, not just the blue collar, not just those people with laptops. Anybody can apply. The law says so. The law says any employee can apply. Okay, so that's very much on the policy and the form. Now, Labour Department, right, has also issued a guideline on flexi work arrangement. So try to also get a copy of this. There's also a form in this, a form shared. So this is one document that you should also read. What is the flexi work arrangement all about? And this, you can download the policy and the form in this link, right? You can use the QR code, scan and download this, the policy and the form. Even this booklet, Aturan Kerja Flexible, you can also get it from the Labour Department's website, or you can also get it from our HR Forum community page, community group in Facebook. Okay. Anyway, these slides I'm sharing with you, the link is shared in the chat, right? The link to download these slides is in the chat. Click the link, download the slide, and you can have this entire slide deck. Okay, so now so when you get these slides, there are some additional information on how do you optimize your talent solutions, right? How do you increase your employee engagement and satisfaction, and how do you implement innovative recruitment strategies using FWA, right? To make your company more attractive to recruit talents and to retain talents, right? So you can have a look at this. How do you foster employee retention through engagement, right? So have a look at all this. Okay, so that's very much on our FWA. So we still have about 20 minutes. So now I'm going to take on questions. So do let me know if there's any questions that you like like me to address. So you can post your questions in the chat box, and I will reply you. I will answer you now. Okay. So yeah. So again, I would like to remind all of you all. Number one, please, establish your policy. The policy must be comprehensive and not a one sentence, one paragraph policy or half-page policy. A good policy will be easily 3 to 4 pages because there's a lot of things to cover. Number two, establish your FWA form and define the process flow, right? So take into consideration all the factors that we have already that I've shared just now. Okay, so I'm going to take on a couple of questions. So there's a question from Sue Yap. What about HR is new to the job? Then learn the job, right? If you're new to the job, you got to quickly learn the job. There's a question from Joanna. Our company have been exercising FWA, work from home. However, for those with performance issue, can a manager send formal requests to ask the employee to request full-time work in the office? And if the employee allowed to reject such arrangement, while at work from home, I think you got to scroll up a bit. While at work from home, let me see what is the next part. Okay, now I believe, Joanna, you have given flexi work without having a policy. That's why you have this issue now, right? So what you would need to do is define your policy, establish your policy, get everybody to follow the policy, right? Now, the challenge here is, I believe all employees are working at home. Now you're asking whether the manager can ask the employee to come back. Now it's going to be difficult because what has been promised to them? If the employee was given a promise that you can work from home for 2 years and you never spell out any condition, so how are we going to call them back? So this could be an issue. So what you can do now is, firstly is establish your policy, right? Define the parameter, define the conditions, right? Do all of this. So establish your policy. Once you have established your policy, communicate to all your employees, right? And then enforce it. Majority of employees would agree, but whoever do not agree, then you take the necessary action against them. But you got to be careful because I do not know what you have promised him when you granted the approval, some time ago. But you don't have any other option. So do this, but do it tactfully. Okay. So any other questions? Okay, just give a while. Okay. Yep. Okay, maybe scroll up. Okay. A worker on, I mean, if an employee is on probation, are they still eligible to apply? Now remember this, the Employment Act Section 60Q did not say a confirmed staff. So the law do not dictate who can apply, whether confirmed or probationer. So as far as the law is concerned, in my view, a probationer can also apply. Remember, the law did not say, if you go back to Section 60Q, you will find nothing that says a probationer cannot apply. Right? So in my view, the law says anybody can apply, whether they're confirmed, whether they're probationer. Does SOCSO cover FWA? SOCSO covers, yes. Do check it out, even if they work from home. Remember, during COVID, SOCSO did issue a circular that if you're working from home, you're still covered because you're working. Okay, there's a question by Cassandra. Given that the law provides a basic policy framework for FWA, and considering your recommendation for more comprehensive policy, would it be a strong justification to present this as an internal comprehensive policy in cases involving disciplinary issue? Now, the law is silent. What are those conditions? So you spell it out and you enforce it. If an employee has an issue, and if somebody asks you, you just say that this is our policy, right? And take the case from there. Anyway, there are companies that have done this. If a company already have a system for employee to apply and for employee to approve, does this consider apply and feedback in writing? Now, first and foremost, if you go back to Section 60Q, it says that an employee shall apply in writing and company must either approve or reject. If you reject, you must give them the reason for rejection, within 60 days. Now, if your system provides the feedback, which I'm not so sure whether the employee can see the feedback, but I would encourage Mohammed Fairuz to, get some input from the Labour Department, whether a system-based process can or cannot. Talk to them, right? If it's okay, then it's good. But what is important is the reason for rejection must be provided. Patrick asked this question. The policy need to be signed or acknowledged by the employee. That's up to you, right? Some companies, they have this policy where employees must acknowledge the policy. Some of you all may not, right? So to me, in your offer letter, right, you must have already defined your offer letter. All prevailing policies of the company must be followed, right? The offer letter that you issued is so important. Sometimes we don't pay attention to offer letters. In the offer letter, you should put a clause. Company, you agree, by you taking up this job, you agree to follow all prevailing company policies and regulations, right? Even better, you give them a copy of the handbook when they sign up for a job, when they sign your employment contract. That'll be good, right? So they cannot say, I was not aware, nobody told me this, etc. If a company have practiced work from home, no policy, no black and white, so if employee has performed, this is the problem, you see. When you practice FWA, no policy, no black and white, people don't perform. Are you running a charity, right? So now, always avoid this situation, following something without proper guideline. Because when an issue happens, the company is lost, don't know what to do, how, we are lost, right? So now, again, Joanne, for your case, I would suggest, number one, set up your policy, establish your boundary guideline, right? Communicate a policy to your employees, and then start enforcing it, right? So Sushil Kaur, in the first para of sample policy under the head of part-time, it doesn't tally, I'm not sure, Sushil, if you can just share with me, the first para in the sample policy under heading of part-time work does not tally with the earlier side. If you can tell me what is it, I just can't capture what is it. But if there's an error, we'll rectify it. Okay, if work from home, do we need to follow the work hours set by the company or flexi work? You see, you define, not for employee to choose. If the company is operating 9 to 6, employee has got to work 9 to 6. What is different here? The place is different. If you're in the office, you work 9 to 6. If you're at home, you should be working also 9 to 6. Otherwise, how do you meet your customer needs? How do you define your, how do you arrange your meetings? How do you have your calls, right? You're working, the guy is sleeping. When he's working, you are sleeping. That doesn't work, right? So define clearly in your policy, what are the work hours? If a person is at home, to me, the work hours still remains the same, but what is different is the place of work. Okay? Now, Mr. Arul, if an employee applies for only 2 days of work from home due to a last-minute arrangement, do they still apply? Well, Michelle, you define your policy. You might even define it in a way, if it's going to be if it's going to be a less than 1 week arrangement, you can apply within 1 day before. If it's a 1 week arrangement, or 1 week arrangement, don't need application because it's easy, right? So you define your policy, because different company, you have got different challenges, different culture of work, different, your operating systematics may be different. Your operating model is different. So you define. Perhaps you may say the first 1 week of your work from home, don't need to apply. Anything more than 1 week, you must apply in writing. Now, just to let you all know, this is just an idea. Sick leave, right? I believe all of you all listening in today, you are the good ones. You also fall sick probably 2-3 days a year. Now, the other employees who abuse the sick leave, despite your FBI level control mechanism, a tight control mechanism, people still abuse it. So the good ones apply 3 days. Those who abuse also apply 3 days. So by default, everybody apply 3 days. There are organizations, what they do, the first 3 days of sick leave, no need MC, apply in the system. You save paying the doctor, right? Anything more than 3 days, you must apply. So you can have the same concept, in your work from home policy. Again, it depends on your company structure, your company culture, and your business model, your operating model, right? So anything less than 3 days, no need apply. Anything more than 3 days must be applied and approved in writing. You can have that as well, right? Maybe sometimes some companies, the superior sits in one location, employees in another location, the work hours is different. So all these, business challenges may be there. Okay, how do flexible work arrangement influence employees' well-being, job satisfaction, work-life balance? Okay, well, I would say this, there are some leaders who don't believe in work from home. Just last week, the founder of Dell, Dell Computer, he says everybody has got to come back to work. This work from home doesn't work. I think, if I'm not mistaken, even Google, Tesla wants everybody to come back to work, because they believe when you work from office, things are much more productive. But we have also many other organizations who tells us that, work from home is working for them. They are able to see better engagement. People are more, happy at work, because why? They can decide when I come to work, when I can work from home, but the job is still delivered. So if you emphasize on performance, right? This is your JD. All items in JD is met, right? Performance is good. So now I believe some of you all, there are days that you cannot come to work because of family issues, and you're the good employees. You are the A performer or the B performer. You call the boss. Boss, today I got emergency. Boss, never mind. It's okay. Work from home, right? Normally, we don't have issues with performing employees. The A performers, the B performers, right? C and D is always an issue. So far, people have said that it works, right? They feel they are trusted. The boss trusts you, right? Yes, you work from home because I trust you can deliver. So that creates motivation as well. Okay, yep. What strategies can be used? I'm just going to jump on question. What strategies can be used by employers to maintain productivity at work and accountability in flexi work? See, end of the day, right? If you are very firm and focused on the objectives, performance, right? Let's say a recruitment executive. Now, a recruitment executive role is to recruit employees within your time to fill. If your time to fill is 45 days, the employee must make an offer to a candidate within 45 days. If the recruiter is able to get this thing done, able to shortlist, publish a job, shortlist, get the interview arrangement done, get the offer letter done, everything is done. Even though he's working from home, objectives are met. So I would rather emphasize on the performance of that employee rather than, what time he logs in, what time he logs out. I'm not saying you don't log in on time, don't log out on time. That is important. But you don't have to check on them. You don't have to micromanage because they are performing. That is why, what I will do, I would set in my policy, if you're a poor performer, no work from home. Right? So work from home is for those employees who are A performer, B performer. Please get guidance from Labour Department if you plan to do so. I mean, talk to them, see what they say about this arrangement. Okay, if a worker submit, return application for FWA, do you need to notify Labour Office? No, right? Labour did not say that you got to notify them. All they said is in the form and manner which may be described by the Director General. So you don't need to notify Labour Department, right? Now, this is interesting. If you reject a work from home, can this fall under discrimination? Now, there is a possibility. I attended a talk by the authorities. Yes, they mentioned this. Now, if you have got two employees in the same job category, same scope of work, let's say two clerks, you got two finance clerk, same job, same grade. One person apply, you approve. The other person you reject. And the reason you give, tak masuk akal. That employee may say that the company is discriminative. Now, that is another issue of discrimination now, right? So there's also a clause in EA that talks about discrimination. So yes, it can raise the issue of discrimination. So manage it well, describe in your policy what can, what cannot, and stick to it. Never allow managers to decide, based on their whims and fancies. Now, do you all agree, right? Adeline, I would like to know whether people reply. Do you all agree HR's life is difficult because managers don't follow? Managers want to do what they want to do. Yes or no? Right? Why HR's life is difficult? Because the managers, the people manager, the line managers, they make your life difficult. Yes or no? Anyone? Right? Now, if you say yes, right? A couple of yeses. Now, why do you think so? Why? Because HR allowed the managers to bermaharaja lela. You allowed it, right? You allowed the managers to bermaharaja lela because you did not set your, you were not firm with them. When an operator makes a mistake, when the junior employee makes the mistake, HR is ready to, pounce on them. Your issue show cause letter, warning letter, this letter, that letter. But when a manager don't follow the process, when manager don't do what they're supposed to do as per the company policy, no problem. You don't take action on them. So when managers don't do it right, why are you not taking action on them? If your company policy says superior must approve, must submit a form, must approve this by this deadline, when they don't do, that is called negligence. That's a misconduct. But we don't take action. So when you don't take action after year, month after month, etc., manager says, I'm a king. Saya boleh bermaharaja lela. Your life becomes difficult. So managers must follow company policy, not just your lower level staff. Okay. Now, I wonder how will allowances be affected. Let's say company give transport allowance. If you're an FWA, spell out your policy, right? In your transport allowance policy, you must spell it out. Transport allowance is given when you are working from the office. If an employee is working from home, the transport allowance will be prorated for the days that you are only working from the office. Spell it out. The problem is we never spell it out. Right, Shukri? We never spell it out. So any benefits that you have, please spell out in your benefit, in your policy. Okay, if this scenario, yes or no. In that scenario, yes or no, can or cannot, prorated or not. Spell it out. So when you spell out earlier, remember, I told you this, employer, I agree to follow, I agree to all the company policies, that relates to work from office, work from home. So he signs it. So tomorrow he works, he already agreed that his allowances will be prorated. So have it in your form, have it in your policy. So the problem is, we have launched everything boleh, no problem, start, etc., but no policy. Then later part, when we got issues, how? I got no policy, I didn't define it, macam mana? So don't work like that. Do not work, in the cowboy style. Okay. Yep. So, is it legally allowed to put a term in the policy that company can review annual leave entitlement if they work from office, hybrid, etc.? Well, now this is a bit tricky to answer, but this is my viewpoint. When you make an offer to the employee, the offer letter, the conditions in the offer letter is very important. So when we issue an offer letter, we only say that your annual leave is 14 days or 8 days or whatever the number of days. You never spell out any other conditions. So later part, how are you going to revise it? Annual leave is a fundamental term. It's a very basic term. So what you can do is like this, right? If you're giving, the law says how many days? Minimum 8 days. So if you're going to give more than 8 days, what you can do, 8 days, don't touch because the law says everybody eligible for 8 days. So the other 6 days, let's say it's 14, right? The other 6 days, you set your condition. If you're going to apply for work from home, the additional 6 days that is given above the law will be prorated. That's one way to do it, right? But my opinion is, don't go into this mode because you're being very petty now. How many days annual leave do they have? Right? 100 days a year? 200 days a year? No. 12, 13, 14 days. Now, let me tell you this, Lisa, right? And to all of you who are listening, we are at work 8 hours per day. The effective work hours in a day, is it 8 hours? 8 hours, everybody is working, no nonsense, they're all performing the job? I don't think so. The effective work hours, probably 5 hours, probably 6 hours. The other 2-3 hours is wasted. But let's say 1 hour is wasted, unproductive hours, 1 hour a day. We have roughly 220 days in a year. That means there's 220 hours of, that is unproductive, that is wasted, thrown down the drain. That is roughly 25 days plus in a year. Do you want to focus on the 25 days or these 2-3 days that you are now saying can be prorate, etc.? I would rather focus on the 25 days and not on these 2-3 days. So look at the bigger picture, please. Don't take penny wise, pound foolish approach, right? Focus on output, focus on performance. If the employee can perform, why not? How is Netflix? You know Netflix, you all know Netflix, right? Netflix, Penang Lumilets, from what I know, they don't have their policy on leave, unlimited, no limit. Is Netflix doing badly? I don't think so. So how come Netflix, they have a policy, no limit to annual leave, and they are doing well? So don't waste your time on, my advice to HR practitioners, and if you're a business leader, don't waste time on all this time in, time out, 10 minutes, etc., annual leave here, there. Focus on your performance. If you have a high-performing employee, but he requires some flexibility because of whatever, but he's your high-performing employee, I'm very sure you will close your eyes, never mind, boleh, can. But if the employee got problem, that's where you start. Can I cut annual leave? Can I reduce this, etc.? So the moral of the story is, focus on performance, everything else will fall in place. If the employee cannot perform, PIP, manage them. If they can perform, no worries. So the issue is, let me repeat this again to HR practitioners, no matter what your level is, you can be a CHRO for all you want, or you're a business leader, CEO of a large company. Many of us, we have forgotten the very objective of employment, which is performance, right? When you hire somebody, you pay them X amount of money because you want them to perform, right? So if they cannot perform, take disciplinary action. Take action on them. Still cannot perform, PIP. Still cannot, out. You keep doing this religiously, you will start seeing your employees will start to perform, and you don't have to worry about all this time in, time out, flexible, etc. Because why? They know, if my performance drop, I terpaksa keluar sekarang. So focus on your core. Don't worry about all this, annual leave here, travel allowance, should I cut? Okay, you're not working, right? I got a prorate. Can your payroll system manage that or not? Right? So focus on your core. Focus on the basic, the primary objective. I don't care about how many days annual leave you take. I don't care whether transport allowance you claim or don't claim, etc. But every month, your performance KPI must be met. If not, PIP still cannot out. That is the way to do it. Okay, it's now 4:30. We're supposed to close this. Let me just take maybe 2 questions and I'll do it. So for those of you all, please download this, the slides I've shared. There's a link that my colleagues have shared. Download and review it, right? And the forms and the policies, it's available in the Facebook group, so you can get it from there. Okay, maybe scroll down a bit. Okay, Mohammed Aziz. Given a scenario of such employees, superior blatantly rejected the FWA without solid reason, despite the parameters, what do? Very simple. Call the superior, right? Ask the superior, why did you not reject? Write to them. If he refuses to give an answer, that means he's not following company policy. When the company policy has been designed, has been established, nobody should go against the policy. If the superior blatantly reject, right, that means he is basically telling the company MD, I don't care about you. Give him a show cause letter. If the company policy says that, based on these parameters, employees, when they apply, we should give it to them, right? Unless the superior has a business reason, right? Not personal reason, business reason. Some superior, they got favoritism. Employee A, their favorite stuff, everything boleh. Employee B don't like, make it difficult, right? So if the reason given for HR tak masuk akal, take action on the manager. Issue a show cause letter. Why? Right? We don't do all this. So when we don't do all this, managers tend to bermaharaja lela, and your life becomes difficult. I can tell you, when I was running, the show, you cannot play fool. No bermaharaja lela, right? Why? Because you got to be firm with them. The reason why HR cannot manage the managers, because we are not competent. We are not competent. We are not comfortable. We are not confident. When you are competent, you become very confident. When you're very confident, people don't dare play with you. So build your competencies, right? So if a manager blatantly disregard company's policies, take action on them, issue a show cause letter, inform the MD, issue a show cause letter with, and the MD must agree, right? No managers can play with the company's policies, right? Okay. Let me see. Okay. So let me just read through one more. Just scroll down a bit. Is it acceptable for HOD? There's a lot of questions. I can only answer some. Is it acceptable for the company, for the HOD, to create an internal department FWA policy if HR does not specify one? My advice, don't do this. If not, different department got different policies. How can a company operate with multiple policies on FWA? Don't do that. What is HR doing? Is HR sleeping on the job? Right? You see, many of these things, right, there could be a labor dispute later. Right? And when that happens, you will be in a difficult position to defend your company. So policies should be designed by HR with the input of all your stakeholders, right, your HODs and all that, approved by the management and establish it. But if you allow managers to set their own policy, some managers may set a very stringent policy. Some department may have a very relaxed policy. Then you create unfairness, right? Your approach in running your business is not balanced at all, right? I would not encourage that, right? HR, you got to take control of your HR policies. Otherwise, if managers bermaharaja lela, that's because of you. Okay, so I think I need to stop here. A lot of questions. I would encourage, we do have these kind of seminars from time to time. Do join. We will have seminars as well, right, at our academy in PJ. Do join some of these seminars. The seminars are cheap, less than 100 ringgit. So do join the seminars as well. Do join some of our programs. For example, we have a masterclass. I didn't share the slides today. So during masterclass, we'll talk about all these strategies, right? We talk about these strategies. How do you manage performance? How do you do some, focus on one core, approach. Everything else falls in place. So we cover this in the masterclass, how to work smart and so on. So if you're interested, write into us for the next masterclass. Otherwise, thank you for joining us today. So you can download the slides in the link provided, get the copy of the form, get the copy of the policy, modify it to suit your needs, share this with your stakeholders, get your management to approve it, and roll it out. Okay, thank you and have a good day.
At AHRP, ladies and gentlemen, we are deeply honored to be invited as a strategic partner for this conference. This conference stands as a beacon of innovation and forward thinking, set against the backdrop of a rapidly evolving digital landscape that fundamentally alters how we work, interact, and grow. These systematic shifts brought about by the COVID-19 pandemic really have underscored the indispensable role of HR in navigating these changes, making our gathering here today more critical than ever.
And we like number of people yang datang, the event.
It's a very wonderful job done. Even till now, we've been part of many events out in the West and in Europe as well.
Having all this knowledge under one roof over 2 days is really useful.
I think the organizer has been doing a great job so far. I think everything else is good. The traffic is great. Yeah, we did enjoy our time here at the event.
I actually quite salute, with how they organize the whole thing, starting from the registration, everything is quite organized, in sequence, in line. And of course, they provide even food for everyone.
A lot of familiar faces. So dia macam nak satu big reunion macam tu.
If it's on again next year, we will certainly be coming back.
Scene here in KL is outstanding, and we hope to join you guys again in the next event.